Hey, what's up, everyone? With No Time to Die coming out next week, I'm going to be reviewing some of the Daniel Craig James Bond films in build up to No Time to Die. So today I'm going to be reviewing Skyfall from 2012. Real quick, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And be sure to leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of Skyfall if you have seen it. This is also going to be spoiler free, so you're free to watch this video if you haven't seen Skyfall, though it is a movie that's almost 10 years old. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Alright, so Skyfall came out in 2012. It's directed by Sam Mendes, and it's the third Daniel Craig James Bond film. You're probably wondering why I skipped Quantum of Solace in terms of reviewing it. Is I was going to review it, but then I watched the movie, and I really just didn't have any opinions on it. I didn't feel like my review would really add anything. Pretty much my opinion is it's just a worse version of Casino Royale. It does a lot of the things that Casino Royale did, and really changed within the James Bond franchise, but pretty much it's just a worse version of Casino Royale. It was not a movie I would revisit that often, so I just figured I would skip reviewing it because like I said, I just didn't have any strong opinions about it. So anyways, we got Skyfall today, so I think Skyfall is a much better movie than Quantum of Solace. I will be ranking all 5 Daniel Craig James Bond films. I would rank the entire franchise, but I just, like, there's so many of them, a lot of them are very similar, so it's a very hard franchise to rank. But I will be ranking all 5 of the Daniel Craig James Bond films. But anyways, I'm kind of rambling on a little bit. So this is my second time watching this movie. Back when I watched all the James Bond films through the first time, so when I first watched it, then this is my second time. And honestly, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. It's not as good as Casino Royale. It's far from as good as Casino Royale, but I still think it's a very good movie. Sam Mendes is a very good director, obviously. He directed this movie, he's directed Spectre, he's directing No Time to Die, and obviously he directed like 1917 and a number of other great movies. And he's clearly a talented director here. Immediately in this movie, you can see like the cinematography is really good, and just like it feels like a very competent movie, a very well-directed movie. There's a lot of good scenes, a lot of tension, the sound editing. On a technical scale, this is one of the best Bond films, if not the best. It looks so good. It sounds so good. It's just a very pleasing film to watch on the TV, on my flat screen. It definitely, like, that's the best looking James Bond film of the bunch, because it's just a very well shot film. And right along with Quantum of Solace, this movie pretty much does kind of takes what Casino Royale did well and kind of reuses it. The action is similar, the plot is similar, how you have Daniel Craig as this kind of believable protagonist in James Bond, where he's not really kind of this like superhero character. He's more of just this elite agent in kind of a normal human society, that is, he's just really good at his job and he will really do anything to get the job done, but he also is still a human, and stuff like that Casino Royale kind of started, and this movie really followed through with and continued that trend of what they were doing with Daniel Craig's James Bond character. So this movie really kind of rehashed a lot of that. The plot of this movie is good. There's a lot of kind of like corruption and kind of interior espionage type stuff in it, and I do enjoy it. It's definitely not the best James Bond plot, not the most intriguing James Bond plot out there. There's a little too much kind of espionage stuff for me. I'm not a big fan of like espionage, and there's a lot of that in here, kind of like interior workings and stuff like that. Also, Javier Bardem as the villain, I really like him in a lot of his roles, but I think he's very underwhelming in this movie. When you see, like, oh, he's playing, obviously he's from No Country for Old Men, he's insanely good in No Country for Old Men, but in this movie, when you see he's playing a Bond film, I got so excited. Then you watch it, and you're like, it's really an underwhelming performance from him. It does have its moments where you can see how good of an actor he is, but for me, it was just a really weird choice of what they did. His character just visually is not a visually appealing person to look at, and not that villains should look nice or whatever, but like he's just like, he doesn't look intimidating, he doesn't look cool, he just kind of looks annoying. He looks like something from a comedy movie, for me at least. And like I said, his villain, he's just underwhelming. He doesn't really do a whole lot in this movie. He shows up about halfway through, and even then, he's still very limited in what he does. I'm really disappointed. He's not the worst Bond villain. He's far from it. There definitely has its moments, like when he's in the cell. There's a really good scene with him acting, but it's a very underwhelming Bond villain in my opinion. And a thing this movie does really well is it feels very epic in scale. It feels like what's happening actually matters, not just for James Bond, but for the whole team. It's very personal. Obviously, Javier Bardem's character, he used to be with MI6, I believe is what it's called, the James Bond, the kind of group that they have in London. So he used to be with them. It's very personal. It's very high stakes, and you really feel like things are happening. It feels like what's happening matters and what's happening is going to stay. Where other James Bond films, and particularly the older ones, really feel like a episodic television show like CSI Miami or something, where like nothing's going to change. Like James Bond's not going to die, or a main character isn't going to die in the movie. Everything's pretty much going to stay the same. in that James Bond template, where in this movie it feels like things are changing. It feels very modern. It feels like they're not afraid to do something drastic, and we do see that in this movie, and it feels like we see that, and we do see that in later movies as well, of them really just kind of shuffling all the cards and changing the outlook of the James Bond universe and the James Bond movies, and I really like that about this movie. I think that's something this movie does very well. Another great aspect of this movie, in my opinion, is the ending. It's kind of some mild spoilers for the movie, but the ending where they're like kind of in the house in the middle of the field and they have to defend it from the villain as they try to attack them. I really like that ending. I think it's a much different pace from the James Bond films. It's much more action centered, but honestly, it works for me. I love action movies, and that scene just works. There's a lot of cool moments in it. And it's a really fun scene to watch and a very good ending to this movie. I think this movie gets better as it goes on as well. I think it starts a little slow, but it slowly picks up the tension. I think the middle act is very strong, and then the ending, I think, caps it off nicely. And as for the negative aspects, I already mentioned Javier Bardem as the villain is a little underwhelming for me. I'm more disappointed that it's not better because he's such a good actor rather than he's a bad villain, because he definitely serves his purpose as the villain, but just a little disappointed by him as the villain. I think this movie takes a little while to get going. It's a little slow at times for me, at least. I tend to not be the biggest James Bond fan in the world, and my issues for a lot of them kind of play in here. They're very slow in how it goes about the plot. This is a 2.5 hour movie, and it doesn't feel like there's 2.5 hours worth of stuff here. Casino Royale is the only movie where that isn't a thing for me. Casino Royale flows perfectly, and it really uses up the time nicely. But this movie, I feel, is a little slow. And don't take that too seriously. It's 2.5 hours. It doesn't feel like it needs to be 2.5 hours. It feels like there's a lot of kind of blubber in the movie that could have been chopped out. But anyways, I do think it's a good movie. And then my last little nitpick is the action is a little kind of normalized. It doesn't really feel like James Bond action at times, where Casino Royale, you have this really intense chase scene going on, and it feels very James Bond. But James Bond scaled up to 11 in terms of the intensity, where the action of this felt a little more like a kind of a Mission Impossible movie, a little more kind of Hollywood, I guess. It doesn't really feel unique as much. It doesn't stand out as much to me, and that's certainly I think that's what they were going for, but I'd much rather it be more unique. But anyways, I still enjoyed Skyfall a lot. I think it's a really good movie, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 and an 83%. Like I said, a very good entry in the James Bond universe. Definitely my second favorite Daniel Craig James Bond film. And with that said, that's going to do it for my review of Skyfall from 2012. Be sure to stay tuned for my review for Spectre, which should be coming out very soon. And my review for No Time to Die, obviously, when that comes out. But anyways, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you stuck around to the end of the video, don't forget to like and comment. And have a great day.